New York City theatrical community has a rich and storied past. At the beginning of the 20th century, the theater district was so bright by white lights it was known as the Great White Way. In the early years, Broadway began as a leader in the retail sector. The commercial draw is what really sparked growth in the area.
Broadway defines New York City to so many people around the world, and in the hearts and minds of so many people, the two are almost synonymous.
The 1940s began the golden era of the musical with Rodgers and Hammerstein, who combined the elements of song, dance, comedy, and drama in the 1943 smash hit Oklahoma. In 1947, the American Theater Wing held the first Tony Awards, named after Anthony Perry, to recognize excellence in theater. The 1940s also saw the birth of off-Broadway productions, with the growth of small theaters in Greenwich Village. In the 1970s and 1980s, Broadway continued to capture headlines and hearts. A reluctant success of Broadway is the fact that many of the plays have been turned into movies by the Hollywood film industry, like The Phantom of the Opera. Also, the movie Rent.
525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure right here?
So, why New York Broadway? Carol Channing once said, "To me, Broadway is an audience. That's all I care about." And as the Lunts once told me, after the first 2 or 3 months in New York, you're playing to Omaha anyway. Also, Roy Somalo once said, "For purposes of the Tony Awards, a Broadway theater is a house with 500 or more seats." Normally you would say that Broadway, as theater, extends from 41st to 53rd Streets, but Lincoln Center is up on 65th Street. So Broadway is not necessarily geographic, it's not physical local, it's an idea. John Lahr said, "American musicals are the epitome of corporate art making. It's always been that way. What has changed is who leads the discussion. Initially, it was the comedians. That's when it was truly musical." Some people agree the Jewish religion helped in the creation of modern Broadway musicals.
Musical Spamalot. There's a very funny song that says, you can't have a Broadway musical without the Jews. Isn't that how it goes? Something like that?
Yes.
And it's very true, because when you think about the history of the Broadway musical, it is essentially created by a lot of Jewish immigrants back in the early part of the 20th century.
One of the reasons are,
this comes across in the documentary too, and an issue for us to explore here is because they're outsiders, they're immigrants, they're hearing the sound of New York for the first time. And in their music and in their lyrics, the sound of this city that's taking off in the early 20th century, they capture that.
from my perspective, Broadway is well known in New York because of the diversity and competition. People from all over the world come together to create a musical, just like how the Jewish religion had influence on the Broadway musicals. Also, the competition creates the actors and actresses in musicals to work even harder to show a great performance. Only the best are selected to perform in Broadway musicals. Like Eric Stern said, "Broadway is a metaphor for theater in New York City. It reflects who we are," and I agree with him. New York is well known for its diversity. Every Broadway shows are different, making it unique, which appeals to the audience. That's why everyone wants to see a Broadway musical.